Alexei Navalny, Russian politician who opposed Putin to the end, has died in prison. Moscow. Alexei Navalny, Russia's most prominent political opposition figure, has died in a remote Russian prison at age 47. News of Navalny's death came Friday from the Federal Penitentiary Service in the Yamalo-Nenets Autonomous District, above the Arctic Circle. In a statement, prison authorities said Navalny felt unwell after a walk in the prison yard and soon lost consciousness. Attempts by emergency medics to resuscitate him failed to give positive results. Navalny had been serving out a lengthy prison sentence for charges including extremism, which were widely seen as punishment for his years of criticism of Russian President Vladimir Putin. His family members and supporters say authorities repeatedly denied Navalny medical care and subjected him to long, punishing stints in solitary confinement with the apparent aim of preventing his access to the outside world. A representative of his anti-corruption foundation in Washington, D.C., expressed the belief in April that Navalny was slowly being poisoned in prison. Yet a video shared by Russia's independent SOTA news service appeared to show Navalny looking healthy and in good spirits during a court hearing the day before his death. Navalny was participating by video feed. Navalny had been serving out a 19-year prison sentence on charges including extremism, embezzlement and fraud, widely seen as Kremlin retribution for his political activities. Navalny's legacy, his ceaseless crusade against Putin and corruption. Obituaries. Navalny's legacy, his ceaseless crusade against Putin and corruption. A vehement critic of President Putin for more than a decade, Navalny built a national following with campaigns that channeled public outrage over corruption at the highest level of government and promoted a vision that Russians could, one day, live differently. Even from his prison cell, he was a critic of Russia's invasion of Ukraine and Putin's increasingly repressive rule. Indeed, in the days before his disappearance in December, the opposition figure unveiled a campaign to rally Russians against Putin when he runs for a fifth term as president in elections scheduled for a lawyer by training. He first rose to prominence with efforts to foment shareholder revolts at Russia's corruption-ridden state companies. He later emerged as the breakout political star of anti-government protests, a powerful speaker who railed against flawed parliamentary elections in 2011 by memorably labeling the Kremlin's ruling United Russia bloc the party of crooks and thieves. A crackdown on protesters that followed signaled Putin's determination to keep his grip on Russian political life, even as the Kremlin continued to manage degrees of political competition. Navalny was allowed to run for mayor of Moscow in 2013 despite fighting off an embezzlement conviction widely seen as a Kremlin attempt to undercut his appeal with voters. He nonetheless placed second, nearly forcing the race to a runoff with the Kremlin's handpicked candidate, thanks to a spirited street campaign. The Kremlin took fewer chances when Navalny tried to challenge Putin for the presidency in 2018. A court ruled him ineligible, but Navalny forged ahead with a shadow campaign that saw him open offices nationwide and lay out his political vision. "I want to live in a normal country and refuse to accept any talk about Russia being doomed to being a bad, poor or servile country," Navalny told NPR in an interview at the time. "I want to live here, and I can't tolerate the injustice that for many people has become routine." A contrast to Putin. Even from the political sidelines, Navalny's informal style, honed by an internet-fueled sense of humor, contrasted starkly with the imperious bearing of Putin. Navalny was known to inject quotes from favorite shows, like animation series Rick and Morty or HBO's The Wire, into his speeches. "Hey, it's Navalny," was his standard greeting in videos before he would tear into Putin. Putin tapped into older Russians' grievances over the end of the Soviet Union. Navalny channeled a younger generation's hope that Russia could break free from its repressive Soviet past. Putin, famously, sought to downplay Navalny's fame by refusing to even utter his name in public, a position Navalny mocked with characteristic humor for an Instagram bio. Aforementioned person, other politician, various activist, this gentleman, characters that were mentioned. The phrases were all Putin word salads to avoid pronouncing Navalny's name directly. Yet Navalny had detractors beyond the Kremlin. He repeatedly took part in Russian nationalist movements early in his political career, arguing their support was necessary if the opposition hoped to win. Some Russian liberals never forgave him. State media labeled him a fascist.